In the Philippines, a nation steeped in deep-rooted Catholic faith, belief in miracles and the divine power of religious icons is woven into the very fabric of everyday life. From bustling cities to tranquil rural communities, the supernatural and the sacred are ever present. Devotees flock to venerated sites, drawn by tales of miraculous healings and divine interventions. The Santo Niño de Cebu, a centuries-old statue of the child Jesus, is believed to grant miracles, attracting millions each year. Similarly, the Black Nazarene, a dark-skinned statue of Jesus bearing the cross, inspires fervent devotions as thousands join its annual procession in Manila, seeking blessings and cures. Against this backdrop of profound spiritual fervor, the events that unfolded in Lipa, Batangas in 1948 stand out as one of the most captivating chapters in the nation's religious history. In the serene confines of a Carmelite monastery, an otherworldly phenomenon began to unfold. Imagine, if you will, delicate rose petals descending from the heavens, each one imbued with a celestial fragrance. Amidst the ethereal shower stood a young postulant, Teresita Castillo, whose life was forever changed by divine visions. The Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to her, bringing messages of hope and grace. These miraculous events, both beautiful and awe-inspiring, drew countless pilgrims eager to witness the divine. Yet, as the petals continued to fall, a shadow of mystery and intrigue began to creep over the sacred grounds. The serene atmosphere was soon disrupted by whispers of skepticism, fierce opposition, and the looming authority of the Church. The initial wonderment gave way to a narrative intertwined with scandal and suppression. The tale of the Lipa Apparitions and the miraculous shower of petals remains a powerful enigma, a story of divine encounters, unwavering faith, and the relentless quest for truth amidst a backdrop of controversy. Step into the mystical world where the boundaries between faith and reality blur, and discover the enduring mystery that continues to captivate and inspire. Hello and welcome to the LilWeird Podcast. I'm your host, Jane. Today, we're diving into an extraordinary and almost forgotten tale of faith and mystery from the Philippines. Join me as we explore the hidden and miraculous mysteries of the apparitions and shower of petals in Lipa, where the boundaries between faith and reality blur. Welcome to the LilWeird Podcast. In the serene yet mysterious confines of the Lipa Carmel Convent in the Philippines, the extraordinary events of 1948 unfolded like a spiritual drama. This is the story of Teresita Castillo, a young woman who witnessed supernatural apparitions that would forever change her life and the lives of those around her. Amidst the lush gardens and quiet corridors of the convent, Teresita experienced encounters with both divine and diabolical entities, leading to a profound journey of faith, fear, and resilience. This narrative delves into her mystical experiences, the skeptical investigations that followed, and the enduring legacy of the Marian apparitions in Lipa. Born into the privileged Castillo family, Teresita Castillo enjoyed a life of comfort and luxury in the province of Batangas. Her father, Modesto Castillo, was a respected figure known for his influence and reputation as a Freemason and governor. The youngest of 6 children, Teresita was the apple of her family's eye, particularly adored for her musical talents. The Castillos ensured Teresita received the best education in Manila, nurturing her musical gift with the promise of grand piano upon her graduation. But beneath the surface of this pampered life, Teresita harbored a deep spiritual longing. On the dawn of her 21st birthday, July 4, 1948, she made a life-altering decision. As the first light of day touched the earth, she slipped out of her comfortable home, leaving behind the promise of grand piano, and ventured towards a new unknown destiny at the Lipa Carmel Convent. The convent, a place of silence and solitude, became the backdrop of Teresita's spiritual quest. Her entry into this cloister world was far from peaceful. Shortly after her arrival, her family's resistance to her decision intensified. The evening stillness of the convent was shattered by the arrival of her eldest brother, Florencio, whose shouts echoed through the heavy wooden doors. The sound of a gunshot reverberated in the night, a chilling testament to his determination to bring her back. Laurentius's anger reached a fever pitch as he pounded on the doors with relentless fury. Inside, the nuns, known as Out Sisters, trembled in fear and called for the police. The prioress, hoping to calm the storm, led Teresita to the parlor where Florencio confronted her, gun in hand. His eyes, wild with desperation, bore into her as he threatened to shoot. The tension was palpable, but before the situation could escalate further, divine intervention seemed to occur, and Florencio left in a huff just before the police arrived. Despite the familial turmoil, Teresita's resolve to become a perfect Carmelite remained unshaken. She endured emotional assaults from her siblings, who begged her to return home. As the days in the convent passed, Teresita found herself enveloped in an eerie silence, only punctuated by the occasional whispers of the wind through the convent's ancient walls. Yet, it was within this silence that the supernatural began to intrude upon her reality. Her first encounter was marked by the deep, guttural voice that resonated within her cell, filling her with an indescribable fear.
My first encounter occurred during the Great Silence, which means that nobody may talk with anybody except for emergency reasons. I was in our cell praying hard for my family when I heard 3 knocks. I did not see anyone come in. After a while, I heard a man's voice, very rough and guttural in nature, as though coming from a deep, hollow container. He gave me a vivid picture of how my family was. He said that my father, who was at that time the presiding judge of the Court of Industrial Relations, could not study his legal cases. I was told, and this was confirmed by others, that after each meal he would leave 2 spoonfuls of rice for me. He used to stand by the window waiting for my return. This was indeed a very touching attitude of my poor father. I suddenly felt homesick, so much so that I was on the verge of crying. Then I heard the voice again telling me that he will leave signs of his presence in our cell. With shaking knees and trembling hands, I somehow managed to grope for our little lamp. And sure enough, there were 2 black footprints, and their shape was so different from that of a human being.
But the torments did not stop there. Each night, as the convent lay cloaked in darkness, the voice returned, repeating the same harrowing messages.
The same voice came back to me at around 3 a.m. He kept repeating the same thing to me.
Teresita, though terrified, clung to her faith, praying fervently for strength. It was during one of these nights that she began to question whether the voice was a trick orchestrated by her family to throw her back. The possibility gnawed at her, adding layers of confusion and fear. The true horror materialized on August 11, 1948, at the ungodly hour of 3 a.m. Teresita was jolted awake by the violent shaking of her bed. The hoarse voice was back, urging her to pity her parents, to return to them lest they die of loneliness. And then, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the entity appeared before her eyes. The devil was a grotesque figure, short and engulfed in flames, with bloodshot eyes that could not meet hers. His foul odor permeated the room, solidifying his malevolence. Without warning, he struck her. Teresita, in a surge of divine providence, managed to grab a vial of holy water. She sprinkled it towards the beast. As if seared by its purity, the devil vanished. Shaken and tearful, Teresita fled to the mother prioress, showing the marks on her wrist. The prioress embraced her for the first time, a gesture of profound comfort and solidarity. This human connection amidst her divine battle gave Teresita the strength to continue. Though she missed her parents dearly, she realized that giving up her vocation would mean letting the devil win. It was not long after this that Teresita experienced a contrasting encounter. One day, as she walked towards her cell, a sweet fragrance enveloped her, reminiscent of white lilies. The scent brought to mind old beliefs about death and the afterlife. In her cell, a voice unlike any she had heard before spoke to her. It was soft, sweet, and filled with compassion. "My daughter, sufferings will always be with you until the end of your life," it said. Teresita, though stunned, felt a strange sense of peace wash over her. This voice, she would later realize, belonged to the Blessed Mother. From this point, The encounters with Mary began. Each appearance was preceded by the same sweet fragrance. Mary's voice was a balm to Teresita's tormented soul, offering comfort and guidance. Over 15 consecutive days starting September 12, 1948, Mary appeared to Teresita, each visit a profound spiritual experience. Mary's messages were clear and compassionate, urging Teresita to pray and to perform acts of penance. Mother Cecilia, the prioress, became her closest ally during her supernatural trials. Alfredo Oviar, the auxiliary bishop and chaplain, also played a crucial role when the devil tried to drag Teresita down the stairs. It was Mother Cecilia who fought to pull her back, comforting Teresita by assuring her that she was clothed despite the devil's illusion. Bishop Oviar explained that the devil had the power to manipulate her senses, making her believe she was naked. With these supporters, Teresita's ordeal seemed random and more a shared battle. However, this support also brought new challenges such as envy and spite from others in the convent. Teresita and Mother Cecilia faced these trials together, enduring hurtful words and accusations. Teresita's physical suffering was intense. She felt as if her entire body was pricked by needles for days, a pain she offered as penance for priests and nuns who Mary told her were at risk of losing their vocations. These afflictions symbolized the inner conflicts within her faith community and her realization that even priests and nuns are human. Such experiences were part of adjusting to convent life, which included practices of self-mortification like wearing a cilice. Only Teresita and Mother Cecilia knew about her painful pricks and periods of blindness, which occurred before and after the apparitions. This secret suffering created a deep bond between them. Mother Cecilia received internal messages from the Blessed Virgin Mary, warning her of Teresita's upcoming trials and guiding her on how to support her. Teresita's 3 periods of blindness began and ended suddenly. The first followed a demonic attack where she feared her blindness might lead to her rejection by the community. The second time, her sight was restored when she left her cell for Mass. The third time, her blindness was a sign. Monsignor Oviar instructed Teresita to ask Mary for a sign of her presence. Mary appeared, touching Teresita's eyes, and this time, her left arm was also paralyzed. The convent's infirmarian confirmed Teresita's lack of sensation. These physical afflictions marked Teresita as a mediator between Mary and the community, starting with a series of apparitions that began on September 12, 1948. In these apparitions, Mary appeared to Teresita, each visit bringing messages of comfort, guidance, and the call for prayer and penance. These encounters transformed Teresita's suffering into a shared spiritual mission, connecting her deeply with her faith and her community. One of the most significant apparitions occurred in the convent garden. As Teresita prayed the rosary, the vines around her began to shake, drawing her attention. Suddenly, Mary's voice instructed her to kiss the ground and eat some grass, a test of obedience and humility. Mary asked Teresita to visit the same spot for the next 15 days. These instructions mirrored the famous Marian apparitions in Lourdes, grounding Teresita's experiences within a recognized framework of divine encounters. Mary's presence was not just a spiritual comfort but also a source of strength for Teresita. During one apparition, Mary revealed herself as Mary, Mediatrix of all grace, a title that underscored her role as intercessor. The apparitions provided Teresita with the fortitude to face her trials, each visit reinforcing her faith and her commitment to her vocation. Through these divine encounters, Teresita's perception of her suffering transformed. She no longer saw herself as a victim of chance, but as a chosen vessel for divine messages. The support from Mary, coupled with the human comfort from the Mother Prioress and Bishop Oviar, solidified her resolve. She understood her role in a larger spiritual battle, a fight against the forces of darkness. that sought to undermine her faith and her mission. As the apparitions continued, the convent became a battleground of supernatural forces. The nuns, initially skeptical, began to witness the signs themselves: the scent of lilies, the falling rose petals, and the miraculous healing further validated Teresita's experiences. The once silent corridors of the convent now buzzed with a sense of sacred purpose as the nuns rallied around Teresita, offering their prayers and support. Teresita Castillo's experiences and spiritual journey in the Lipa Carmel are deeply intertwined with the legacy of Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, also known as the Little Flower. This connection is not just a matter of shared name or devotional practices, but extends to the profound influence Thérèse's writings and spirituality had on Teresita. Thérèse of Lisieux, a French Carmelite nun who lived in the late 19th century, is renowned for her little way path of spiritual childhood characterized by humility, simplicity, and trust in God's love. Her autobiography, Story of a Soul, which details her deep love for Jesus and her approach to living a life of simplicity, became a cornerstone for many Carmelites, including those in the Philippines. Teresita often read Therese's autobiography, finding in it a source of inspiration and guidance. The theme of littleness resonated deeply with Teresita, who saw herself as a small, humble servant in God's grand design. She frequently referred to herself in diminutive terms, echoing Therese's language and approach to spirituality. Teresita's mystical experiences in Lipa bear striking similarities to those of Thérèse. Both nuns experienced visions and supernatural phenomena that emphasize their roles as intercessors and their deep connection to the divine. For instance, Thérèse spoke of her desire to spend her heaven doing good on earth, symbolized by her promise of a shower of roses after her death. This promise manifested in many reported instances of rose petals falling as signs of her intercession. Similarly, in Lipa, Teresita witnessed rose petals falling within the convent, an event that occurred on Therese's feast day. These rose petals, often associated with Thérèse, reinforced the connection between the two nuns and highlighted Teresita's role as a spiritual successor to Therese's legacy. During one significant apparition, Teresita encountered a shower of rose petals reminiscent of Therese's promise, shower of roses. On October 3, 1948, Teresita saw petals falling before her as she ascended the staircase. This event, coupled with her subsequent vision of Thérèse surrounded by angels, solidified the spiritual bond between them. Therese's appearance to Teresita and her message about humility and simplicity reinforced the values that both nuns held dear. Furthermore, Therese's teachings on suffering and love deeply influenced Teresita's acceptance of her own trials. Thérèse believed that suffering, when offered to God, becomes a powerful form of prayer and intercession. Teresita embraced this perspective, offering her physical and spiritual sufferings as penance for the salvation of priests and nuns, echoing Therese's sentiments. That brings us to the end of the first part of our journey into the miraculous events at Lipa. We've delved into the extraordinary experiences of Teresita Castillo, her divine encounters with the Blessed Virgin Mary, and the intriguing connection between Teresita and Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, the Little Flower. The apparitions filled with messages of hope and grace mark a profound chapter in the spiritual life of this quiet Carmelite monastery. But this story is far from over. In the next episode, we'll explore another fascinating aspect of these events, the miraculous shower of rose petals. We'll uncover how these petals, some bearing holy images, captivated the faithful and confounded skeptics. We'll also dive into the intense scrutiny and eventual suppression by the Church and how decades later, dedicated believers reignited the case, seeking to uncover the truth. Join me as we continue this intriguing tale in part 2, where faith, mystery, and controversy intertwine. We'll examine the miraculous petals, the Church's response, and the determined efforts to reopen the case. Thank you for listening to the LilWeird Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite listening platform. Thanks for listening.